So it astonishes me. I'm a medical doctor by training, so I haven't always been in the education sector, but I've worked in the field of adolescent and youth health and well-being since I was a medical student. So it was, you know, at some point you need to get to the education sector because that's where adolescents and young people are, in the education settings. So I've been working in that intersection for many years. And it just surprises me a lot that any school can tell me how any of their students are doing in math, in algebra, in English at any given time. So if I ask you, how is Priti doing? And you'll be able to tell me if she is falling behind or she's doing well, if she needs maybe some extracurricular sessions to improve her English or whatever. But it almost takes a child to threaten to take their lives or to come with bruises or to come crying for us to really know how that student is doing. And I continue hearing people with very good intentions say, we need to observe, you need to be present and mindful. But when you have 30 kids in your classroom, when you have 200 that you need to look after, maybe at 9 in the morning or 8 in the morning, you'll be able to observe one day, maybe. But at 10, when things get crazy, there's no way that you're able to see how every child is doing. And when you're going to observe things, you're going to observe the ones who stand out. The ones who are noisy, the ones who are crying, the ones who are not engaging. But what happens to the rest? What's happening with them? And we speak a lot about, oh, no, it's broken homes, dysfunctional family. Do we know to what extent that really is happening? Do we have something concrete that we can work with so that we can improve that situation? This is something that, this is a cause that I embody. For me, it's very important. It goes through me. And I want to share a little bit more about that. So it's 2007. And one day I was in first year of medical school. And one day I started feeling an emptiness in my stomach. Have you heard, like a void? Maybe you get that when you're feeling nervous or anxious and you feel like emptiness in your stomach or in your abdomen. And I was just feeling, kind of retracted a little bit. And I was going from, I think it was an anatomy class to biochemistry. And a professor comes to me and grabs my arm and asks me, hey, how are you doing? I said, I'm just adjusting, doing okay. I've just been feeling this sensation. And lately, it's like I haven't felt like eating a lot and I don't want to hang out with some friends, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I think you're depressed. And I said, no, I'm not depressed. Because I don't feel sad and I don't cry. I don't feel sad and I don't cry. He said, well, I suggest you to go to the Wellbeing Center at the university. Maybe I'll help you, I'll get an appointment so you can get checked up. And then I go, and it turns out I did have depression, and I had lost 10 kilos in about a month. And I hadn't noticed. That was an inflection moment for me. And just to give a little bit of context to that situation is that when I was in high school, I went to the same school since kindergarten to 11th grade. We didn't have 12th grade. And my biggest goal when I was in school was for it to end. Like, I hated going to school. It was the worst thing that could have happened to me. I just remember every day raising my hand, especially in secondary, like in high school, middle and high school. I just remember the words that were said to me, the jokes, the mumbling, the laughs whenever I dare to raise my hand in class or go to the front of the room to speak or to present. Because of different situations that were happening. My family was going through an economic situation. I was in a private school. I didn't like to play football, and I went to an all-male school. And I was skinny, and I was kind of shy. So that said a lot of things about me. And, my biggest dream was for it to end. And I was an average student. So I wasn't failing many classes. I never had to repeat an academic year. I wasn't fighting with other students. I wasn't crying in the bathroom. So what that meant is that no one took notice that I was having trouble, that I was struggling. And the bad thing about that is that beneath all of that, beneath that, strong face, nothing's happening, my mom would ask me, how did today go at school? Oh, okay. Yeah, everything okay. All good. All good. Sorry, that I don't know why that last thing is in Spanish. But the thing that was happening is that there was depression, sort of like starting to become a thing. And in adolescents, particularly and in males, depression manifests itself very differently. Men don't usually cry. It's not well seen for men to cry because it shows you're weak. You're not man enough. My dad was also comes from this macho culture, and they all need to tough it up. And adolescents also, we don't really understand. They didn't teach us back then a lot. How does sadness feel? How do you identify your emotions? So I didn't think I was sad. I didn't feel bad. But then I had other symptoms that this professor saw. And so I asked this question in the pre-conference is, why do we expect families to send their kids to school? Because what I often hear from schools is that, that's not my responsibility. It's the responsibility of the family, or it's the responsibility from the health sector. And I come from the health sector. And I say, children are sectorless. They don't belong to any sector. We don't belong to any sector. Who is responsible for ensuring a child, 8 or 9 or 10 or 11-year-old child is safe and protected? They're in school 6, 7, 8 hours a day for almost 12 years. And if we have families and parents here, do we? I think Jim, many. Well, you expect that when you send your child to school, that child not only gets cognitive skills, but other skills as well, and that child is protected. That child is safe. That child is enjoying their time there. And that when there are risks or red flags, that you're notified. You don't necessarily expect the school to solve everything, but you do expect, I'm sure, that someone notices and lets you know. Because your child's life, it's at stake. And so there is a global gap in the intention and the mandate for education. Because we think, when I was at the pre-conference, someone said, oh no, schools